Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and that is Connor, and yeah, we talk about DC TV shows here. Normally we talk about Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow, but they're all off just now for just a little bit longer before we're back in January. So, in the off-season, we've been working our way through some old shows. We have been doing Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, we've been doing episodes of Smallville, and we've been doing 2 a week of Young Justice, the animated series, in preparation for the new season coming in 2018. In fact, according to Twitters from one of the writers, it shouldn't be until the last quarter of 2018. So we got plenty of time.
I think that's just interesting because we were expecting that to be there for the launch of the service. And okay, so either it's not or it's launching later than we thought it was.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I think it just tells me that it's launching then. I don't think I'd even question, no, it's not launching with the service. No, it is. It's just the service is launching after September.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah. Which I guess makes some sense. Because they want to have their 2 shows ready for it, I guess.
Yeah. I assuming they're putting them both on at once and just launching with them both. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, there's a chance they might start earlier with Titans and have that run a bit earlier. But
maybe. I feel like if you're wanting people to pay for a whole service, though, 2 new shows is a much better proposition than 1 new show at first.
It is, but then people are doing it for Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, but there is other things going on there. Even if it's not stuff that appeals to Star Trek fans, there are other things going on there at the same time.
Yeah, but not anything that anyone cares about.
They have a few shows. They've got the that spin-off of.
I just mean in the sense that the people that CBS All Access are targeting with Star Trek, they're going, oh no, you're coming just for Star Trek. You're paying just for Star Trek, and that's that. With a DC service, you're paying for Titans and just Titans, and that's that. I feel they might try it.
I'll be disappointed if they do it.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. I'll be disappointed. I think a live action show and an animated show at the same time feels much more valuable to me than, especially when you've got just if we're going to have like 26 weeks of just one animated show, like that would be kind of insane to me.
Yeah.
For paying for a service, you're getting a 20-minute episode once a week for 26
maybe
weeks.
Maybe they double up.
They could double up, yeah. But I don't know. Yeah. So as far as anything else goes, I did read an interesting little thing on the interwebs today.
It's gotta be interesting now you've said that.
From CW, whatever his title is, Pedowitz. I don't know if he's CEO or if he's like head of programming or whatever, but whatever his title is.
I think he's CEO.
But he was talking about the whole decision to like push Supergirl back and have have it be off for 8-9 weeks while Legends is airing, and he was just some interesting little tidbits here. Apparently, part of the decision for this wasn't purely because up until now we've just been kind of saying, oh, okay, so they want 5 shows at the same time, which is true. That's not incorrect, but the reasons why they're specifically done this is actually because Supergirl was having some production delays anyway, and it was just a natural fit to have that be the one that pushed back. He mentioned that these delays were something that were already kind of happening before they had to fire Kreisberg.
But that probably exacerbated it.
I imagine it did. I would have to imagine that firing Kreisberg puts some, especially if like Berlanti's stepping in to have more hands-on with Flash and Supergirl. Maybe he's hands-on with Flash first, and then he's jumping over to Supergirl.
Yeah, it's going to have an impact. Yeah. That's just the reality of it.
So basically it all boiled down to the end of it where he said, yeah, but the fans of the show shouldn't worry. This is not a sign of any kind of like, oh, this is the one we're kind of hanging out to dry or anything like that. He was very kind of like, no. This is just kind of the way it has to happen because of delays and stuff, but it's not a sign of how we're treating the show going forward or anything like that. So, that's fair enough. I just thought it was an interesting little read. The idea that there was already production delays even before that happened, I thought was quite interesting. I was like, oh, they're falling behind for whatever reason.
Yeah. They're shifting the iZombie slot as well, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, no, you mentioned that actually. You mentioned that was on the Monday slot.
Yeah, because we were expecting it, April on the Tuesday slot where it's typically been presumably following Black Lightning, but it seems to be moving to Mondays. It's coming on with Legends.
Okay, interesting.
At the end of February, it's coming back on that same night.
Okay, is that not more mid-February?
No, it's like the 20-something.
It's an early 20 number though, right?
I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure that I saw someone tweet saying it was the same night.
Because Supergirl's back for 4 weeks, and it starts on the 15th of January, so I feel like...
Yeah, maybe there's another week or so that I've missed. I don't know. Someone tweeted it, and I was like, okay, that's the same night, but maybe it's not.
I'm just debating that it's that late in February, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But no, it's mostly good stuff. There probably was a few other tidbits during the TCAs, but we'll talk about that in the weekly news episode that we do. If you don't watch or listen to that, it's just almost cancelled weekly TV news. You get it on the YouTube channel really easily, of course. If you're looking for the audio feed, it's Mailed Fuzz TV News is the name of the audio feed. Because when we start the movie news show, that'll be on the same feed. So that's where you can find that if you want to get that every week. Just to hear us rambling about all the new shows that are in development or talking more in depth about the news that pops up.
No renewals as of yet.
No, not as of yet. But we'll see. They may not do that this year. I mean, I know
they might not. Obviously, it was a big thing last year, but it was surprisingly early still.
Yeah, it was shockingly early, so I wouldn't necessarily expect them. It would be nice to get them this week, but I feel like they might still wait until like the usual kind of May period that most networks do.
I wouldn't be too surprised if they did.
Before they start doing all that. Because I think this year they've got a reason to wait because they want to see how Black Lightning does, and then they want to decide as a whole, like, what are we doing? Like maybe the decision do we, take away Arrow now after this season. Like, maybe that decision is based on, is Black Lightning doing well? If Black Lightning's doing well, okay, get rid of Arrow. If it's not doing so well, what do we do then? Kind of thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean not do Black Lightning anymore. It just necessarily means, we'll keep Black Lightning again, give it another chance with another short season, but we don't want to just...
and we don't know how many pilots they're actually looking at picking up. They might be looking at more than last year.
That said, they had a lot last year, so we'll see.
They did have a lot last year. I don't know how they've managed to get them all out.
No, admittedly, they didn't all come to actually air, but they did have a lot of pilots to consider last year, so it's just a case of waiting and seeing. At the very least, I expect the majority of them to be renewed.
Yeah.
Honestly, the ones that I feel like might not get renewed, I think Flash is safe, I think Supergirl is safe. I think unless it completely tanks, Black Lightning is relatively safe because it's only season 1 and they want to give it a chance.
Yeah, probably.
Arrow and Legends gets the lowest ratings, so those are the ones that I think would be up for
Arrow also is already past the 100 mark.
That's true, yeah.
That's probably the first to go in my mind.
It also gets less ratings than Legends does, so it definitely is the first one up in the chopping block if they're going to call... They might not, though. They might want to keep everything, which is
and
fine.
That said, Legends, because it has been having shorter seasons, is by far the furthest away from 100, so...
if they want to hit that, then that's true. Yeah, that is absolutely true. I think they like having Legends though. Because it's a really nice place to put everyone who they stop using on the other shows.
It's the offshoot show, isn't it? It's like, okay, we're done with you now. Off to Legends.
And here's the thing: I don't think they'll cancel 2, because I think come crossover time they want 4 shows.
I agree.
And admittedly, that's maybe the sole reason that Arrow they might want to keep. Even if it's just for a 13-episode season.
They might not want to integrate Black Lightning into that same way.
I could actually, do you know what? I could totally see them saying, okay, Arrow's coming back, but from now on it's only 13 episodes, and it'll be, the crossover will happen, it'll be part of the crossover, but then it'll be done soon after Christmas, and then, Lightning will come in and take its slot maybe, or something like that. I could see them doing something like that.
I could too. I wouldn't be opposed to that. My liver would appreciate it.
I'm all for less Arrow. I'm not. I like having the episode there for the because I think 4 for a crossover is really. It worked really well this year, so I think having 4 parts of a crossover is great. But obviously, I'm not against having less Arrow in my life.
I wouldn't be opposed to reducing the others by a few, down to like Legends sitting at 17, 18. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing them all down to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't fault that. I think bringing them all down to 13 would feel a bit too slimming, but yeah. No,
the 16 to 18 range, I'd be okay with.
Yeah, no, I can see potential for that. But of course, in our world, we're like, but then they can spend more money on each episode, but they wouldn't do that.
Even aside for that, I'm just thinking it frees up their programming a bit. It makes it a bit easier for them in that sense as to when they're looking at all this other new stuff, and also it might just tighten up some of the writing in the overarching plots a bit.
Oh yeah, it absolutely could do that. All 22, 23 episode shows have that problem.
Yeah.
But I don't think they ever consider that though when they're making that choice. And I think the reason why they won't do that though, Like, I can see them do it for one show maybe, but I don't think they'll do it across the board. And the reason why is because it's such a good, consistent audience, especially for the ones that are getting more viewers. I think Flash and Supergirl, they consistently knock out the guaranteed ratings. They might not be the most amazing
like
ratings
highest
ever
on the network, though, aren't they?
Yeah. So I feel like there is no circumstance where they go, no, we want to shut, no, because they like having that guaranteed audience.
Arrow, with it being slipping, I think is the first one that gets cut down.
Cut down or axed, one or the other, whatever they say to do.
Yeah.
But that said, it's the CW, so I can totally see that still getting a 23 episode season 7.
That'll go till season 15.
Because we're speculating, but honestly, I can totally see everything coming back with the exact same episode.
Sorry. What season is Supernatural on now?
13, 12, something like
that. That's basically existed as long as the CW, right?
Maybe the first season might have even been WB.
It might be, yeah.
It very possibly could be. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head what year they switched.
Me neither.
So I don't know. I know. It was still the WB for Angel's final season, which, by the way, is a spin-off of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
All right, getting out of the way early this week.
And that ended in 2004. Sorry, I always say 20 because I'm expecting to say something post 2010. But yeah, so that ended in 2004. It was still a WB then. Supernatural started in 2005, so it's possible.
It could have been, yeah.
Which, by the way, there are now people who, if it is season 13, there's people who are becoming teenagers who were only born the year that Supernatural started.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying. Joe, it's actually, I don't even play Grand Theft Auto, but this fact terrified the shit out of me the other day. There is now more time since Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out, since it was released, than it was at the time when it came out from the period it was set in.
Whoa.
That is trippy as shit. It's like, god damn it. It doesn't feel that old. Not really.
No, I remember when that came out and playing that. But behind my mother's back, of course.
Oh, of course. But you feel like, it's harkening back to this old era before we were born. It was all, 80s. It's funny. But now we've actually been alive so long that's actually older now to us than the 80s were at that time for people who were our age at the time.
It's weird. But that's just because we can remember this.
Yeah, more nostalgia and feeling old when we talk about Smallville. I've got things to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. So I just thought it was worth bringing up that interview with Pedowitz. I thought it was some interesting little tidbits in there, and I'm looking forward. There was also they had their teasers out for the shows coming back. I didn't watch all of them. I only watched Supergirl because I saw Brainiac 5 was in it, and I had to see. His hair looked a bit suspicious, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, I haven't watched any of them. I typically don't watch mid-season trailers for anything
me neither,
because
usually.
I don't see the point because I know I'm coming back.
Oh,
so I just kind of wait.
It's just if they have something new like that where I want to see how a costume looks or something, I'll have a
that's fair.
See. I don't see them going down the whole Supergirl Brainiac 5 relationship. That said, I kind of want them to. just for the insanity of it. Yeah, you know what? Have her fall in love with the robot dude, the AI. Go for it.
Let's do it. Can't be worse than Monel.
I guarantee he's got more personality.
I'm getting this out of the way early. Any Monel shippers? I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Dear, I don't do a lot of shipping. There's two things that I will maybe admit that I'm in the shipping boat for. One is Fitzsimmons on S.H.I.E.L.D. and one is Marcy and David from Travellers. Anything else, I'm not behind.
I will admit I was big for Jim and Pam.
Oh yeah, okay, I was into Jim and Pam. I'll give you that, sure.
Yeah.
Jim and Pam, yeah. But yeah. So, let's talk about shows. Let's talk about,
we actually did watch stuff this week.
Yeah. I kind of like that we had some stuff to talk about before we started this. I feel like going straight into the shows right at the start just feels weird. As a show overall, it feels weird not to have an introductory sort of section to, just be casual.
Sometimes it's a bit shambolic, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll start with Lois and Clark, as we've been doing these past few weeks. It's episode 4 of season 1. It is called I'm Looking Through You. And so this episode is about someone who appears to be invisible. On the news, Lois is very skeptical, of course, that it's a real thing. And then there's some robberies. It's amazing that I mentioned Supernatural because one of the actors from Supernatural is in this episode.
I've never watched Supernatural. So
the criminal played by Jack Beaver. He's in Supernatural. He's Bobby in Supernatural. He's their like kind of mentor dude.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's obviously way more known for that because he was a regular character in Supernatural, whereas here he's just like a guest star for an episode.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
But yeah, so I didn't mean that when I brought up Supernatural. It was just the obvious thing. I think even it was you who brought up Supernatural actually. So yeah, it couldn't have been intentional.
Yeah, no, it was me.
Aye,
no, you're
that's
right.
fine. Aye.
Look at
that. Things linking up. Great. So this episode, and do you know what? What's impressing me about going back and watching these episodes? I feel like they all have like a good point to them. Like I feel like they've all been about something for Superman as a character.
Yeah.
And this one,
at least so far, definitely.
Yeah, and I feel like this one is very much about the idea that he's starting to feel a bit smothered by the celebrity status of Superman. That he feels invisible. Hence why you literally have an invisible villain in this episode to deal with, the metaphor.
When you can, why not?
Yeah, why not? So no, and it starts off with there's like a Superman day. He's getting the key to the city, and there's like Superman balloons and posters and all sorts of things. The only comment I have in all this is that randomly one of the Superman stand-ups or whatever you call them is the Golden Age Superman from the comics with the triangular shield.
Yeah.
And I thought, why does that exist in this world?
Someone was shit at drawing.
I'm like, I get it as a nice nod to Superman's history in real life, but it's just kind of weird. Like, why would that exist?
No, I'm with you. There's a few things that we talk about. They keep referencing certain lines, and, like the phrases, and you've been more on board with them than me. Yeah,
what I do love though is that the Superman Jack in the Box actually plays the main theme of the show.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, obviously it's got the instrument that you get in the Jack in the Box, but it just, if you listen to it closely, you can hear it's actually the main theme. Of the show. It's a nice touch, and I don't mind that because it's like, okay, yeah, it's a bit meta, but like in the show they don't know that's the main theme of the show.
That's having some fun. Yeah. The one is the guy who does it. You leap over tall buildings in a single bound. Again, didn't we just get that like last week? Didn't we get that one with Lex and his hench people?
We did. I didn't mind it from him though in this episode because he's like this cheesy, like he wants to be his agent. He's like, we're gonna get deals, Superman.
I get it, but it's starting to feel like, hey, we're gonna have one every episode.
I don't think it will be. I think it'll calm down. Again, compared to this week's Smallville that we watched, I feel like Smallville's way more guilty of it still.
I'd call it out on Smallville as well.
Yeah.
I'm giving that the shit as well. Don't get me wrong. It's not off the hook.
So you got this agent trying to chase him down and be like, hey, Superman, let's get deals, merchandise, let's do this, let's do that. He's feeling a bit smothered. Do you know, it's funny actually, the opening scene where we have this parade, this Superman Day. First things first, I'm not really complaining about this, but I just want to point out that the crowd's kind of small. I get that it's just a TV budget and they can only have so many extras, but I was like, this doesn't feel like a whole city coming to celebrate something. Like, compare it to, say, I don't know, in the third Spider-Man, there's like a Spider-Man Day, and it's like, there's a big crowd in Times Square, and it's like a huge...
Why are we talking about Spider-Man 3? What is going on here?
It was the first example I could think of like a superhero like day with a crowd. Or even just Flash, Season 2 of Flash. The premiere. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. More on topic.
Yeah,
and also not awful.
Yeah, so you have like this big Flash day, but everyone's celebrating wearing Flash shirts, and it's like a giant crowd. Whereas here it was like 30 people.
Yeah.
But hey,
they're there. They showed up. Stop giving them shit.
What I thought was funny about this scene though is I kept thinking it was going to be a dream sequence because it just felt a little bit too much, and then especially afterwards when all the crazy lady fans like basically attack him in the alleyway and like Superman, and he's like practically shielding himself from he's Superman, you're fine, you're impenetrable,
just fly off.
But it was so like over the top that I'm like, right, he's going to wake up anymore, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, and then
it just never happened.
It just doesn't.
Yeah. Funny enough, there is a dream sequence later on, but this wasn't it.
No. I feel like maybe they just forgot to edit in the bit where he wakes up.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way. But then later on, they refer to the scene though. They're like, "Oh, you got the key to the city," and Lois is complaining that he didn't notice her, and I'm like, "Okay, so that happened."
Yeah.
The other dream sequence later on though, which is more clearly a dream sequence. This is kind of fun. Clark's working at like his desk on an article, and Lois comes in, and then Perry, Jimmy, and Kat are all there behind her as well. They're all wearing trench coats, and I'm like, this is going to get funky, this dream. They're going to start flashing them in a minute. It's very creepy. And then the joke is that they're all wearing Superman outfits of some kind. Which, by the way, I'll compliment the episode. It was a nice kind of costume with the cape tucked in for the duration.
It was.
So I appreciate that. So
we'll take it when we can get it.
I like this dream sequence quite a bit because obviously it's him feeling smothered by the Superman merchandise and like
the idea.
Yeah, but I do like the ultra high pitched sound effect on Lois's voice when she's like, "It's super time," but it's like really high pitched.
Yeah.
It's proper delirious style.
It is,
but I like it. It's good.
This definitely a dream sequence.
Definitely. If they try to tell me this wasn't a dream sequence,
and that's it. I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, I'd call complete bullshit. So you've got Superman feeling this way, and there's the fun moment as well when Lois like he's over because the invisible guy ends up showing up at her place for help because he's actually a nice person. He's not a bad guy, but this criminal's also stole the invisible tech. So we've got two invisible men running around, but our bathrobe like sort of like opens a little bit, and he's like, "Not you two, Lois," and there's like the Superman pajamas,
and she's like, "What? Nothing wrong here."
Which
leads to some great comedy with his parents.
It does, because he's like, "Oh, Lois is wearing Superman pajamas." He's like, "You saw her in her pajamas." It's like,
no, it's not like that. It just her bathrobe fell open. Oh, really? Now,
I mean, you could literally get around this by just saying, "Oh, I was there when she bought them," or something. Completely unmoving, but he just kept digging a hole. He's just digging a hole.
So it's like, no, accidentally. It wasn't like that.
Yeah, she got a Superman clock beside her bed as well. You were in her bedroom now, were you? She has
just like, yeah, sure. You can tell yourself that, Clark.
She has Superman shampoo. You were in her shower now. You could keep going with it. It's so easy.
You could, yeah.
It's so easy. But no, all that stuff is super fun. I actually kind of like the Invisible Man plot. The actor playing the Invisible Man is one of those actors who pops up a lot in the 90s and stuff. Like, I know him from he's been in a lot more prominent things, but I always remember him from a Police Academy knockoff called I think Ski Patrol was the name of it. He's a really, I know, he's a really small man. He's got a really kind of like noticeable voice, really distinct voice.
Distinct voice.
So distinct that it's actually kind of it bothers me a lot because he's in an episode in season 2 as a different character, and it's so clearly the same guy. But like they just go with it, and I guess they liked him so much they wanted him back for another character, which is it's a testament.
Yeah, no, he's solid.
I feel this is something that shows tried to get away with a lot more back in these days, where they people couldn't rewatch shows as easily, they couldn't binge them, they couldn't do these things. Nowadays, you could never get away with this. People would be calling.
Someone shows back up, you're like, no, this is that person. What are you doing?
Yeah, you would call them out for it. I mean, just to go back to Buffy and Angel, but this is relevant. Buffy and Angel never did this, but Buffy and Angel did cheat a little bit, where one character would they'd have an actor on one show, and then they'd be on the other show as a different character years later. That was a little bit cheating.
It's pushing the boundaries, isn't it?
But at least there, I kind of chuckle and go, "Oh, they got to be on both shows." I kind of let them away with it a little bit more.
Yeah, you let it slide.
Especially when some of them ended up showing up in Firefly as well. It was like, oh, they've done the Trinity.
Yeah, and especially as it will be different people doing the casting on the shows, so they're just kind of getting okay. No, people are coming in and we're like, okay, you'll do for this.
It's kind of like both Daphne and the dad showing up on Cheers before they were in Frasier.
Yeah,
as different characters, which it doesn't bother me. What does bother me in Cheers though, compared to Frasier, is that in one episode of Cheers, he literally says his father is dead.
Doctor Who's awful for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I know Karen Gillan appeared before she was cast as before she was Amy.
Do you know what?
Capaldi was, but at least they kind of retconned that in.
I'll let them away with the Amy one because I feel like she was in makeup, like she was in full face makeup the entire time, so I can.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
She was right. She was in like a complete face makeup. She was all like white. I think if I remember right. Yeah. So they did it
with Martha as well. She was in like the first season, I think, and then she popped up again in 3.
It's been too long since I've seen that season to remember.
She was like really early on. She was a ghost in Victorian London,
Okay.
But again, they've referenced it, and I think when Rose met her in one of the special ones, like in season 4, they're like, oh yeah, I think we knew one of your ancestors. Yeah, we met her.
Oh, okay, right. So
and they did the same with Capaldi. It's like, oh, that's why he chose this face. It's like this reminder. So they kind of acknowledge it.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that I knew your ancestors thing. I like that more than the I chose this face, because it didn't feel like he was prominent enough to be the one he picked, if that makes sense. Whereas I know your ancestors, that's just like a fun little poking at it. Just like,
it was. And Capaldi was also a bit of a major character in season 3 of Torchwood.
That's also a big issue, yes. It's a big issue. I mean, I know I said I let away Buffy and Angel for doing that, but they weren't like full season-long arcs of this character.
No. He was a pretty prominent dude in that season.
Yeah, he was in. It was only a 5-episode season, but he was in all 5 episodes, I think. So,
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. But yeah, not a whole lot of Jimmy and Perry in this one, or even Kat. They can't take a back seat here.
Kat has a couple of moments that are pretty memorable, at least, but Jimmy and Perry, not so much.
She comes in and kisses Clark at the start, and then there's the auction in the middle of the episode, where they're auctioning off Lex for it's for charity, of course. It's just for a good cause, but he's being auctioned off, and the bidding goes up to about, I think, $10,000. And this old lady buys him, and she's really he's happy. He goes up and charms her. He's a good sport. But of course, how do you piss off Lex? You have Superman come in right after him, and go up, and the bidding just starts going. And Lois is bidding like 8,000.
She goes up to like 8,000. I think Kat then does 9, and then this woman comes in with like 50,000.
It's 50.
Stupid.
And the look of hatred in both Kat and Lois's face for this woman is delightful.
It's the most I've ever bonded.
Yeah, it's the most equal and not equal, but the most I've had in common ever.
Yes.
As the most I've had in common ever is their hatred for this woman. It's glorious. But yeah, and of course Lois accepts like a lunch date with Lex after this, because she feels kind of rejected by Superman almost in a weird way, in a roundabout kind of way, because she's seen him as in Clark comes in after he's kind of like snuck out, and he's just poking at her a little bit, like, oh, why you feeling bad about Superman? Maybe he doesn't feel the need to, maybe he always sees you. And of course, he speaks to her later as Superman and makes her feel much better. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Yeah. Of course, there's that funny moment where Martha calls him while he's there as Superman, and he said that Clark's went off to like research something, because that's, of course, he does.
Yeah.
And he answers, and he's just like, "Oh, Clark, I'm here with Lois and that, and we're going to go do this and that." And then it just, after he hangs up, it just cuts to Martha. You don't know it's her.
Like confused.
It's just like,
what the hell was that?
Is he going insane? What's happening?
Yeah.
I feel that's the sort of thing where in the future she'll maybe get used to the idea that every so often he has to cover for the fact that he's not being him.
Yeah. But she hasn't. This is the first time.
Yeah, clearly, and she's just confused. It's great. I love it. So a big running joke in this show, I think, is the constant excuses that Clark has to come up with for sneaking out to go be Superman. And this episode starts with a doozy.
The pen.
There's a plane going down in Metropolis, and he notices it out the window, and he's like, "Oh, drop my pen." And it's a staff meeting. They're all there. They're all, and he super speeds out from under the table and crawls
across the office.
Yeah, crawls across the office, goes out. You don't see what's going on. Not really. The meeting continues. They're joking about the Invisible Man. Perry's pissed that Jimmy even brings in that trashy newspaper into his office. Like, how dare you, Jimmy? Bah. Great shit's Elvis. And then, like, Lois is like, "Clark," and then he just, like, jumps in. He's got, like, soot in his face, and he's, like, holding it. He's like, "Pen?" I was like,
"Found it."
Yeah, you're over there now, of course.
And then you see out the window the plane fly off again. That was the weirdest part for me. I was like, what? I thought it was crashing.
I think we're going to just accept that he maybe fixed the propeller. Because it was an old tool plane. It was like it was a biplane. So, yeah. Whatever it was, he fixed it.
Alright, I'll allow it.
He molded something.
Clark's a mechanic now.
He molded something together with his heat vision.
He's a mechanic. He learned how to fix a tractor. If he can fix a tractor, he can fix a plane.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Keeping this going.
That wasn't even this video. That was the Travelers review. I said that.
It's been going all week.
This is going to be a new thing. I'm just going to be referencing that line forever now. I don't need to fit in my Buffy reference. I need to fit in I can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball somehow.
Or some variation of.
I feel like anything dodging in any capacity is brought up, I have to bring up wrenches and balls.
Yes.
Okay, so
it's easy on these shows.
Yeah, so No, I have a lot of fun with this episode. I think obviously it's inherently goofy. Like, you know, when the Invisible Man's wife shows up and she's like, oh, my husband disappeared, and they go to check out his basement, and it's like a classic lab with all the chemistry sets out, and you got the spiral little straws and whatnot, and I'm like, yeah. Like it's
the moment I like is when the man in the Invisible Man out, you know, for the classic movie Invisible Man outfit with the bandages.
Oh
shows up and Lois is like, no, come on, head to the casting agency. Because
they've put out a thing in the paper saying that he should turn himself in, which he does. He shows up at our house, and I loved it when Clark's like, oh, so there is an invisible man. It's like, nope, I was right all along. Having a suit that looks invisible is not the same as actually being invisible. I'm right. It's like, does it tire being right, Lois? Never. It's like, oh, it's such a Lois line.
And I'm going. She says, oh, if it looks invisible, it doesn't make it invisible. I'm like, doesn't it? Isn't that what invisibility kind of is?
Yeah. If you can't see it, it's invisible. Yeah. The fact that it's a suit and not a person's ability does not make it any less invisible.
Yeah, exactly.
That said, I do have a
suit, not an invisible man, but it is invisible.
Yeah, I mean, you still call him the Invisible Man on the news and stuff. Like, there's no way you'd ever.
You got to sell papers.
That said, though, some logic questions here. When she puts on the hood and it's that funny moment where you just see her eyes, you never see that with anyone else is invisible with the eyes in the window.
I assume that they cover the eyes as well, but there's a little flap. It folds up onto the inside so that she can see out.
But yeah, back to that joke. Yeah, that's the guy who shows up. He's like, I'm the Invisible Man, and she like pulls a bit of his bandage off. He's like, yeah, piss off. And then she looks over and there's like 3 other guys dressed the exact same way waiting to get in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think this is? Because, again, I feel like comparing it to Smallville, because they're both network kind of cheesy shows from different eras, right? This is the 90s, then Smallville's the early 2000s. And I feel like this show embraces the cheesy stuff in a much more natural way, and it has fun with it, and it jokes about itself. I feel like Smallville, by comparison, does all the cheesy stuff, but takes itself so seriously.
Yeah, it does. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just choking on air. I don't know what's going on here.
That's fine. Yeah, you're a mermaid all of a sudden, or a merman, I should say, not a maid.
Thank you.
Ginger. You're a mer ginger.
I'm just dying, is what I am.
Dear. Anyway, so yeah, I love the cheesy moments. A lot of fun. I also like when Lois insists on going off and checking where the bad guys are with the Invisible Man, and they both go invisible. And there's that fun joke when you don't see anything, you just hear them talking. It's like, get your hand off my thigh. It's like, my hand's not on your thigh, and you just hear her go, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's it. Captured.
Yeah. Plus, one of the big moments from the credits is in this episode where Superman bursts through the concrete wall to rescue her because she's in an airtight room and she's suffocating and all the rest of it. I have a blast with this episode. I don't think it's delivered a weak episode yet. I think I've enjoyed all of them so far.
No, I agree with that. I think the second one was the weakest.
Yeah.
The one without Lex.
No, that's fair. Yeah. Lex being jealous during this, of course, was a delight. It always is.
It was, yeah. I say that was the weakest, but it was still fun.
Yeah, because there are bad episodes that come up eventually. They do happen.
Oh, of course.
But at least so far, I think it's been hitting them for me. And yeah, sure, the concept of the episode's kind of goofy, but it kind of embraces it, has fun with it, makes jokes about the old movies and stuff, and Lois' skepticism and insisting on being right, like all that stuff is just, it's good character stuff. And then of course at the end, again, we have that moment where she's like, there's no such thing as an Invisible Man, Clark, and she leaves the office and he just sort of sighs and goes, yeah, there is, because he's invisible.
Yeah,
in case you didn't get it.
In case you didn't get it, exactly.
In case you didn't get it. Yeah, so that will take us on to Smallville, Season 1, Episode 4. It's called X-Ray. So we got our first Power episode. Do you know what I love about the Power episodes? Before I talk about anything actually in the episode, I loved that we had one in Season 1, which was the X-Ray, then Season 2 gets the Heat Vision, Season 3 gets Super Hearing, and then they went, oh shit, there's not a lot left to give him. So we went a couple of seasons without any, and then he got Super Breath, and then I don't think there was any until Flight, I guess. The very end.
Yeah, I don't recall any others.
Which I think more than anything tells you they did not plan this to be 10 seasons. Because they'd have spaced them out a bit more.
I have to admit, Heat Vision is definitely the most memorable to me.
Oh, sure.
I distinctly remember that one.
Yeah, I do have to call a little bit of because they all have this thing where the crisis that pops up can only be solved with that new power, and it's just a little bit on the nose and cheesy. Like this episode, the villain's a shapeshifter that can only be recognized by Clark because the X-ray vision shows that it's
yeah. This is one of those things where you're right, it is annoying, but it's only a problem in this episode because now it's like, okay, he's got the power, we can just use that whenever.
Yeah. Of course. I will say I'm going to critique something here, but also praise it at the same time. I like at least part of the X-ray vision is literally just X-ray vision. It looks like an X-ray. I like that. I like having that effect because in old movies and shows, it's always just it's like a circular window through a wall, and you can see.
Yeah, no, this is everything kind of blacks out.
Yeah, and it's X-ray vision. I like that. Of course, they kind of ruin it by saying that he can also just see through things in full color. No, just give him the X-ray vision.
Yeah, they kind of go, no, he can do both.
Which I don't like, especially because what I love about his powers with the X-ray vision is that he can't see through lead because real X-rays can't see through lead. I love that, but if he can see things in full color, then that doesn't really fit into it in the same way.
I don't hate it though. I kind of just go with it. I appreciate at least they just set it up now and go, no, this is the rules straight away. They're not flip-flopping us later.
No, that is fair. But I definitely just prefer the idea of it being actual X-ray. I like that a bit more, especially since it makes it a bit less creepy because it's not just full on. Oh, I can look through like walls and clothes and see whoever I want. There's always a little bit of that in this by accident, admittedly.
Yeah, to be fair,
but there's a little bit of it. So I do appreciate that. I do like that. What is funny though, I don't think this show ever does like the microscopic vision, where you can like zoom in kind of thing.
I don't think so. No,
it never does that. I thought that was interesting because. I mean, it's not a big part of his power set. Like, it doesn't get used that often, but it is just, that's the thing.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't. We've forgotten. I don't know.
He never gets freeze breath either. He gets super breath. He gets like the strong breath, but he never gets outright freezing breath.
No, I don't think so. But it is colder. So when it was, I feel like he uses it to be cold at some times. When it's cold outside, it amplifies that.
Oh sure, yeah, but it's like it's only if the air itself is cold for it to be cold. Yeah. Which is fine. That's actually why in season 1 of Supergirl I was really impressed when they just whipped out the freeze breath at one point. I was like, oh, we've got freeze breath. Like I expect them to avoid it because it's inherently the goofiest power.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like it's just on a science level. Yes, blowing is colder than breathing because of the compressed air, and so freeze breath just takes it to the extreme.
Yeah, it's the silliest because it's just kind of over the top.
Yeah,
icicles and stuff, and like actually freezing, like Mr. Freeze's gun, like it's a bit much. But anyway, so he gets X-ray vision. He gets it right at the start of the episode. We open with Alien Ant Farm playing because of course we do.
Gotta have one of those songs right at the start.
Do you know what I think's amazing about it is that if you asked me to list 1,000 bands, I don't think Alien Ant Farm would have been in that list. But as soon as it started playing, I knew it was Alien Ant Farm.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm like, oh yes, these guys were a thing.
Yeah, you had the Cranberries in this episode as well.
Yeah, I recognised all the songs. I couldn't have told you who they were though, admittedly.
Yeah.
But it was the Alien Ant Farm song that was relatively successful. Not the main one that was successful, because the main one that was successful was the Michael Jackson cover.
Yeah.
Are You Okay, Annie? Which honestly, when I hear that now, I just think of Twin Peaks. I'm not gonna lie. How's Annie? How's Annie? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? So we start with the song. The shapeshifter is Lex Luthor trying to get his funds, and I'll give the banker credit. He's doing his job. His signature doesn't match. Give us a driver's license just to make sure it's you, Mr. Luthor.
It's like I know you look like Lex. You're pretty famous, and I know you look like Lex, but I'm doing this by the book anyway. God damn it.
Yeah. So I'll get ID because the signature is maybe not perfect. Yeah.
Or
even close. Could we see them? They're not even close to being.
He looks at them and goes, no.
This is like an alien's taking over his body, and it may as well have been.
I'm not gonna lie, I appreciate the confidence of just going, screw it, I'm just doing a signature. There's no hesitation, just straight up does it and goes, yeah, that's gonna work.
I think it's because A, acting confident gets you to a lot of situations like this, and B, like now, how often does it immediately get checked? Really, like, I feel like most times when you sign something, it's just sort of taken for granted that you've signed it. So if you act confident, it's fine. Obviously, that right now he's trying to take out every penny he has. So the guy is quite right to double check the signature. But like, you know, like, I feel like typically
it's one of those where they clearly thought, no, I look so much like Lex, and Lex is so famous that they're just going to go, oh, it's Lex, so it's fine.
Yeah, you get why she's confident enough that it'll work, and then she ends up just having to rob the place with a gun.
I actually I think this might be the best episode yet. Not gonna lie. There's awful things in it, but there's some things I like.
Oh, go on. Well, we'll get to the meat of this. So, Joe, it's funny. So we meet the girl who's the shapeshifter, and I went, she looks familiar, and it was kind of bugging me. And I looked her up, and I went, oh shit, it's Lizzie Kaplan, because once I knew it, I could see it, but she doesn't look like she does how I think of her. Because I feel like from Cloverfield onwards, she's always looked kind of the same.
Yeah.
Right, and I think of her in that sense.
I had the same where it's like, I'm sure I recognize her, but I didn't look her up.
She genuinely looks really different here, being so young. I mean, I don't know what age she was when this was made. I'm going to check. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Born 82, so she would have been 19.
Yeah.
Give or take. Yeah, she looks really different. So it was nice to see her. Admittedly, and I know she's a decent actress, but the writing and the premise,
it's atrocious. Yep.
Does not do her any favors. And her whole plot is that she idolizes Lana. She wants to be Lana. She wants to be sisters with Lana. She gets the same cardigan. She gets a little necklace. It's kind of like a kryptonite necklace. The whole thing, and she awkwardly comes up and she's like, hey, and this is after she's accidentally killed her mother, by the way, right? Let's just point that out. She's accidentally...
That's at least 2 of these meteor freaks that have killed their mothers now. Unless I'm missing another one.
So after, she comes over to Lana's house and she's like, I see you're clearing out stuff in the garage. Very good, very good. And like, hey, I mean, you know, I always thought it'd be cool if we could be sisters, right? I mean, we even look alike and stuff. Like, yeah. You know, if anything ever happened to my mother, would Denile would adopt me? Like, just like, what, how do you think this is going to work? They're going to find your mother's body and assume there's nothing suspicious when Lana says, hey, it's kind of weird that she was asking these questions and then her mother showed up dead, like, days later.
Yeah, she didn't, for all she thought through the Lex plan, she didn't think through this at all.
Oh no, yeah, it gets more erratic as it goes on. She just turns into people for like one scene and tries to get away with something. Like, Martha's not going to think, that's weird, Clark's trying to run me over.
Yeah.
or why Clark like sees her walk into her mother's store and then she pretends to be her mother and she's like, oh, Clark must be seeing things. It's like, yeah, sure, yeah. He's got X-ray vision, but he's seeing the incorrect things otherwise, yeah. But no. So you got that. But once again, we have several scenes in this of Kristen Crook just drawing the energy out of everything she encounters. Jesus Christ, some of this stuff with her mother.
And we're back at the grave.
We're back at the grave. The entire finale showdown takes place at the grave. She's in a crypt herself. Like, this whole thing's going down.
Oh, I like that part. Just leave her in there.
Oh, that part's okay, you think? Again, it can only be solved. They can only find her because he's got the X-ray vision.
Obviously.
And of course, kryptonite was a factor. I was saying this to Connor actually between episodes, that I am going to point out and criticise the fact that now we're 4 for 4 where the kryptonite has affected him at some point.
I thought we were going to get away with it in this one because you did point out to me before, and I thought, you know, okay, so the opening shows that, oh no, she's strong enough to affect him because she's got kryptonite inside her body, because, you know, she throws him through the window.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'm not going to count that because that's not an active, you know, kryptonite effect. That's just, okay, that's how she is.
It's not the sound effect. It's not the veins popping out in the hand. And,
right. So I thought, okay, no, we can get away with it this episode. We don't need to have kryptonite because she can handle herself to some extent. We've seen this here. That's why this is setting this up. No, we'll get the necklace out anyway. Why the... No.
She gets the necklace and Clark's like, oh, stomach pains. Like, we get the whole thing. And the reason why I was thinking about this is because one of the criticisms that people who don't like Superman tend to bring up is that, oh, there's always kryptonite so he can have a weakness. And honestly, no, kryptonite is usually quite sparse. Good writers don't overuse it.
But
Smallville is like 4 for 4 now. It's been a big deal in every episode.
Yeah, and I hope it moves away from like my thing is, okay, I know there was a meteor shower, so it is abundant in the area at least.
Oh yeah, logically it's kind of fine, but logically does not mean it's okay from a writing point of view. Where it's not annoying me. Yeah,
it's annoying, but it's like, okay, if this continues when we get to Metropolis, we're gonna have some real problems.
That's actually one of my biggest pet peeves when people try and defend something, and they'll try and say, but logically this makes sense because of this. I'm like, I don't care if it logically makes sense, it's still annoying as a viewer, it's still annoying from a story perspective.
I'm going, yeah, I get it that logically it's there, but it's still irritating. But you're right, if you know, to use that, I'm like, yeah, it is there, but it's not an excuse, is it?
Doesn't change the fact that they're relying on it like a crutch every single episode to make it feel like he might not win, even though we know he's always going to win. Because
it's especially more irritating in this one, where the opening sets up that it doesn't need it for her to, you know,
she's strong enough to some extent. Yeah, she's strong enough to fight him. Yeah, you know, straightforward. And of course, it's an excuse to have Lana come in. And it's actually her, but she, you know, kisses Clark, and she's like, "Oh, I want you, Clark. You want me. You've been noticing each other." Joey's really cracking me up with this, is that I think Kristen Krug's acting, not great, but is legitimately better when it's not actually Lana. Like when she's playing...
When she's playing it up as if it's over the top.
When she's playing a fake version. And do you know what the problem is? Is that Lana as a character in this show is this perfect goody two-shoes, soft-spoken girl who cares so much about like what her mother said. It's because she's angry at her aunt because like her aunt sort of didn't tell her that when her mother was a teenager, she didn't like cheerleading, she was sort of feeling trapped by the town, she wanted to leave, and she wanted to do all these things. And, like, I get that it's different for people who are adopted, or people who don't know their actual parents, but, and obviously we both, you know, grew up with our parents, right? We know our parents, right? So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you give a shit what your parents were like in high school?
God, no. I see a picture of my mum in school, and I go, okay.
I don't even want to see a picture.
No, like, you know, just, you know, like, you'll be at the grandparents' house or something, and there'll be a picture on the wall. Oh, okay, I recognise her, but I don't care.
Yeah,
I got particularly awkward once I went off to uni, and I'd be like, you know, I'd go out to this local chain of like drinking establishments, shall we say, fine drinking establishment. And
rat holes.
And my mum was she'd phone me at one moment. She goes, "Oh, you been out this week?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I was at Beer Keller." She goes, "Oh, I used to go to Beer Keller when I was at uni." I'm like, I don't want to know this. Don't tell me what you did at uni.
Yeah, I don't care. You talking about uni leads to your sexcapades. I don't want to hear about those, mother.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I want to hear about.
Don't tell me about you. I lived with you. I know what you're like when you go out drinking and come home. You're very loud. I don't need to imagine that in uni.
No, don't get me wrong. I realise, like, people who... It's that kind of thing where when it's something you don't have, you kind of, like, you fantasize about it, you long for it, you make a thing out of it. So people who are adopted do think about what their parents were like more so. Whereas people who know their parents just don't give a shit what their parents were like.
Right, but my thing is still, you'd think about what they were like you know, by the end, you know, like not as they were now, like, you know, when they're your age.
Yeah.
She still don't do that, surely.
For me, it just strikes me as odd that she cares what her mother was like when she was in high school, because she wants to be the same way, or she feels she connects to her in some way. I don't know, it rings kind of false for me. What really rang false for me is she asked Chloe for help. Chloe's actually involved in a plot that's not to do with Clark in this episode, which was amazing to me.
To the point where Pete has something to do because Chloe's busy.
You say something to do. He's just kind of there while Clark finds the body.
Okay, when I say something to do, I mean they write him into a scene because Chloe's busy. He's the stand-in. And
that's the thing. Like, literally all he has dialogue in the scene where he literally says, "Oh no, if you want help with cases or wall of weird stuff, you call Chloe. If you want to talk about sports or girls, I'm your man." And I'm like, okay, that basically writes you out of most of the episodes then. Because he's not opening up about Lana, certainly. So
no, it's like, okay, so why are you here?
But yeah, so she eventually gets this cassette, which for the people who were born around the start of this show might not know what an audio cassette is. Or a VHS is. It's how some people used to listen to things before CDs.
It's making a weird comeback.
Do you know what's funny? I saw James Gunn tweeting just yesterday. He's proud that Guardians Volume 1 and 2 are both selling in cassette well this year, as is the Stranger Things soundtrack.
Yeah, they're doing the San Junipero one, the Black Mirror episode. The score for that just released on cassette last couple of weeks.
This is the most pointless thing ever. Tape is awful. Stop it.
It is objectively inferior
to everything. Like, some people obviously like vinyl, and there is like maybe a quality to that you don't get in modern things.
Regardless, it's uncompressed, which compared to a CD or an MP3 is better.
Oh sure, I mean it depends on what you're.
All right, you can now get a digital download that's better, sure.
Yeah, you get lossless audio. That's the
thing.
Yeah,
yeah, but not on a CD.
Not on a CD, although CD's fine for like most people, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously, if you're an avid collector, then sure, knock yourself out. Get
if you're an audiophile, you'll hear it, but otherwise, you probably won't notice.
Yeah. What cracks me up is I feel like there's some words with "fail" at the end of it that is fine and innocent, but there's some that are just really bad, and it sounds really bad to call yourself something like that. I'm an audiophile.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. That's technically that's perfectly right. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like bibliophile, that's another common one.
It sounds like you're molesting CDs in the back of a shop or something. Oh, I'm going to put something in that CD hole.
I mean, someone's pretty small if they get in the CD holes.
That's a fair point. Well, it's not like records don't have that much of a bigger hole, though, do they?
It depends on the size of the record. The smaller ones have a bigger hole. You have to have an adapter to fill it out.
Oh, really? Okay. Fair enough. That's the thing. Vinyls are such old technology that I've never used one. So, despite my, not old age, but older than these people who don't know what CDs and cassettes are.
People know what CDs are. Don't give them that. Like, they have to. No one can exist and not know a CD still.
You say that, but there's people who are now. I mean, let's think about when MP3 players became a thing, right?
Okay.
You're talking what 2004, 2005 was when the real
mid-2000s.
Right? There's people who are now about 12 who probably have never touched a CD. I mean, that's still a little bit young, but still, I mean, that's...
No, I get it, but at least, like, you can't, generally speaking, you can't buy a cassette tape anymore. You can't just get,
sure.
CDs, they're in the shop. People know, you have to know what one is.
Well, yeah, but then you get to the point and they're like, yeah, but are people that age, have they ever even went shopping physically for these things, or have they just been getting things on iTunes or whatever?
I get that, but they'll be in, like the supermarkets as well for CDs.
Sure. I bet there's still some. I bet we can find some 12-year-olds who don't know what a CD is. I bet they exist.
God, I hope we can't.
I bet you can. Like, I'll agree that it's not all 12-year-olds, but I'm saying I bet you can find some 12-year-olds who don't know what a CD is.
That's terrifying.
They don't know what a CD is.
I weep for humanity.
They don't know what Alien Ant Farm is.
Like... Oh, they definitely don't know what Alien Ant Farm is. To be fair, they're better off on that one.
Probably.
I wish I didn't.
Yeah, I really don't like the singing in that song, by the way. Can I just point out, we had a weird joke in the middle of this show where we talked about trying to stick your dick in a CD. I just want to point out that was a segment.
Well, yeah, what are we doing?
Oh yeah, back to Smallville. What were we talking about?
I suppose. I don't know.
Lana, parent, teenager.
Yeah, I was right. It was bollocks.
All that stuff. Yeah. Back to the fake kiss where she just kind of throws Clark. She turns into herself. Of course, he's really into the kiss because he's Clark. He's actually really weird later on when Lana actually herself shows up, and he's like really awkward. He's like, oh, because
he's like, are you Lana or are you not?
Yeah. And honestly, like, I'm okay with the fake one if she's willing to just keep doing the kissing. It's fine. I'll go with it.
I'm not entirely sure why she revealed herself. She was getting away with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it makes no sense because she starts doing that a lot throughout the episode, and I'm like, why are you revealing yourself? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're getting away with this.
Keep your disguise. Like, there's no reason for you to reveal yourself at all.
No one's calling you out on it, and then you're going, well, I might as well drop the disguise. You're just going, screw it, I'm done with this now. I'm bored.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Of course, Whitney's around. She gets his jacket so she can pretend to be Whitney to Lana a little bit. And here's the weird thing about that, though, is why does she need his jacket? Like, if Whitney showed up to the graveyard without his jacket, Lana's not going to go, oh, you can't be Whitney. You look like him, but you don't have the jacket on.
You say that, but have you ever seen Whitney without his jacket?
So what? Even if you always wore the same hat, you never took the hat off, but then I saw you one day without the hat, I'd say, "Oh, that's weird. You're not wearing a hat." But I wouldn't stop.
No. You go, "Oh, that's weird. You're ginger."
Yeah, because the beard doesn't give it away.
Hey, lots of people have ginger beards.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
No, I don't. But yeah, why do you need the jacket? It's just stupid. It's a whole thing. God. Meanwhile, Lex is being extorted by a reporter for money because of his record. But then Lex flips it on him. He's super evil, and then basically gets him to work on the case. Why am I not dead? Why did Clark stop this car? Like,
I actually like the Lex stuff in this episode. That's like, I think it's actually not bad.
It's okay. It's definitely probably the best it's been. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I like it. You know, when he comes by the farm at the start, and you know, he's just the barbs with Jonathan.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the line where he says, "I'm not a criminal mastermind." I don't know how I feel about that line. Because I'll be honest, as much as I'm okay for the witty Superman references, I feel like Smallville is really on the nose, and it feels they need to do it so often.
See, I agree, but I think this is the best one they've had yet because it actually makes sense in context of what's going on in the episode rather than just shoehorning a line in. This is, oh no, I didn't
That's fair.
Just rob a bank.
That is fair. I think my problem though with this is that by this point they've set a precedent.
They've lost the goodwill. Yeah.
Yeah. That now I'm just going to be cynical every time they do it, no matter what the context is.
No, that's fair. But I thought, you know, if this had been the only one, you'd have been like, yeah, fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. Because it worked in context rather than just, hey, is this, you know, what are some of the shit ones that we've had? I can't remember. They're that awful. Well, yeah, what are you, man or Superman? That was atrocious.
Oh, I was in the was the first episode. That was, and of course, the Nietzsche book with the Ubermensch. They tried to.
Yeah. They tried, but no, don't give us this bollocks.
No. Just like the phrase "Superman" should never be uttered until he's Superman.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Same with Batman.
Well, it's even more true with Batman because at least Superman, you can kind of argue that it's a normal the concept word. Exists.
Yeah. In fact, I'd actually go as far as to say with Batman, and this is me making a dig at Gotham for Balloon Man, that no character should exist with the word "man" at the end of his title before he becomes Batman. Like in the say, you know, like there shouldn't be Balloon Man and Banana Man and like, you know, take your pick.
Yeah,
because I hate the idea that Batman's influenced by some asshole called Balloon Man later on when he's like, I will call myself Batman because I got that idea from Balloon Man. No.
I can't believe Balloon Man was a thing. I remember that.
I can't believe that the cop who get like attached to the balloons never thought to shoot the balloons. He had a gun in his holster. He's been dragged up into the sky and he never thinks to shoot the balloons. Well, he's still low enough that he won't, you know, die from the fall.
I like that we're on Smallville and we're shitting on Gotham. I don't know which is worse.
I've only seen like 4 or 5 episodes of Gotham, so I can't really make the comparison.
No. Well, that's the question. One day, do we dare? I don't know if we do.
Eventually, we're going to finish Smallville. We have to replace it with something.
Swamp Thing.
I mean, Lois and Clark will be finished first, so
like long before.
Yeah, so you know, I feel like by the time we finish Smallville, we might be at the point where Gotham's like one of the only options left.
Balls.
They'll be like, damn it, we need to do Gotham now. Hi. What else happened in this episode worth talking about?
The Lex, they actually, I think one of the first times the show's done it, it's hinted at like an overarching plot. With I don't actually recall any other instances of it really, but beyond just Lex looking into specific instances, the reporter's like, oh, I know about Club Zero, and Lex is like, no, let's keep this quiet. But it's like, okay, no, there's actually something there. There's something to discover later.
Yeah, Joe's really bugging me about this show. As I've noticed, it was when Lana came over to see Clark, and earlier on when Lizzie Kaplan came over to see Lana. Is some of the excuses in this show for people just showing up at places is like so like contrived, and
it bothers me more that they think they need excuses. It's like, no, you're friends, you're in school,
yeah, exactly.
Especially Lana, it's like you live across you're across the street basically. Come over.
She can just come over and say, hey, as if it's a normal thing. Instead, she's like, oh, I was out for a jog, I didn't feel like going home, so I ended up here. Like, what?
Well, you basically came home anyway. You were across the street.
You ended up here. You saw Clark looking through the telescope at you, and you thought, "Oh, I'm going to go and talk to that creepy."
Oh, he was definitely watching her jogging.
Yeah, I'm going to go talk to that creepy Lanophile.
Stop making this a weird thing.
You are an audiophile. You get folds and folds in your computer, which is nothing but music.
I do have more than is healthy. And a lot of it is lossless.
There you go, lossless, and you're lossless for hope.
I'm not sure that really worked, but
I'm taking it. It's fine.
Fine. Whatever.
Dear. Yeah, it was nice to have Chloe doing something different that wasn't just helping Clark with something. That was kind of nice.
I like that. I like the Lex stuff. Dislike that we didn't get enough of the Kents.
Yeah,
their stuff's usually pretty solid.
That said, actually, there was a line at the end that I really liked from Martha Kent, because Clark's like using his vision to see Lana and Whitney kiss, and like, oh, you've been a bit pervy here. We even mentioned that when he accidentally was looking into the girls' locker room, and he's like, "Oh, Lana's taking her." And you know what the funny thing was? Is I kept expecting the scene for him to sort of like shake it off and be like, "Oh, I can't look at this." He kept looking. The scene just cut away.
I'm enjoying this. Yeah, on that scene, they're climbing the ropes, and he falls off. He falls right onto the hard floor. Do they not have those padded mats? Is that not a thing that people did in schools?
Of course they do. I don't know why they're not doing that.
That's what. I was like, why have you not like you just let the kid fall onto the floor from the ceiling?
If he can't hold onto a rope, he's not worth surviving. So that's the attitude.
Sure, but I mean, a non-Clark kid could have actually been hurt by that sort of fall.
I know, I agree. Here's something I want to bring up though. The line that I liked.
Get to the line. Yeah.
So he's spying on them. And he's like, hey, Mum, like, what would you do if you could see everything? And she says, I'd learn to close my eyes. That's an okay line. You know what? I'll give them that line. That was a good line. Good sentiment.
I don't know what it is, but they seem to get the Kents.
They do. They get the Kents to get. Everything else, not so much, but they get the Kents.
Yeah.
Here's something I want to complain about.
Okay. Another thing.
So Lana comes to Chloe for help at the torch. Which, by the way, is miraculously looking really good after it burned down like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Is this the shorthand?
She's like, oh, I want records of this year. It's like 1977. So I want records of this year for this speech at homecoming or whatever it was. And she's like, oh, that's PC. PC? Pre-computer. And I'm like, you call computers PCs? I mean, let's forget. I mean, politically correct. I don't think started using that shorthand until later, so I'll leave that out of it. But you call computers PCs. You're using PC to mean pre-computer, and then
it's contradictory.
And then on top of that, she's like, and I don't even remember what it was, but she had an acronym, HC, which is what does that stand for? No, there was another one that meant after computer. Because I'm trying to remember it, and all I can think of is post-computer, but that's the same damn acronym, so that doesn't work.
Do you know what I really don't get? Is why why didn't they use BC before computer? And everyone knows, BC, that's old.
Yeah, or even just, or just pre-C and post-C. I'd accept that, or something like that.
Yeah. But why not B? Because if I say something's BC to you, you go, that's old.
Yeah, but seriously, the acronym. If you're going to say pre-computer, then the opposite is post-computer, which is the same acronym. It doesn't. Stop it.
It doesn't help. Yeah.
Stop it, Chloe. This does not make sense. I know you're running a sex cult. I know you think you're all hot and hot shot, and you could do your sex cult.
We haven't brought that up in a few weeks, have we? I kind of.
I'm not gonna lie. Every time she's in the first scene of the episode she's in, every episode, I'm like, sex cult. It always pops in my head.
Yeah, me too.
I can't not do it. It's a thing. Maybe there's like a branch there for the audio files that you can get into.
Jesus.
You're in a dark room and everyone's just sitting listening to headphones, just bobbing along.
Can you imagine that Alison Mack just in the middle of that room?
What is the host of an audiophile sex cult
Press play.
Does she slow it down and speed it up? like you listen to it and you're like, Alison, slower. And she's like, I'll slow it down to half speed.
I don't know, but I want to know. It's just for the insanity of this.
Instrumental version there, Alison. She's like, yes, instrumental. You just get the backing track.
Well, let's go wild. Let's go a cappella.
Okay, I guess that's Smallville for the week.
Yeah, yeah. Can't remember now. Did we kill another one this week? What happened to her at the end?
Oh yeah, she landed in the tree. Didn't she? The branch. I think she's dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lizzie Kaplan. Hardly knew you. Because I've been waiting for the Amy Adams episode, and then Lizzie Kaplan just popped up out of nowhere. I was like, oh, Lizzie Kaplan's in an episode. I guess she fares better, but every scene with her and Lana was dreadful. Her obsession with Lana was like... This is the thing. Going back to playing things completely seriously, like the scene where she asked to move in, and she's like, oh, it'll be a few months, and Lana's like, oh, let me run it by Nell and see if it's okay and stuff. And,
a pretty reasonable response, I might add, for someone going, hey, can I move in?
Yeah. And she's like, oh, do you not want to move in? And she's like, oh, I just think it might not be the best idea. And she just snaps and she's like, oh, I'm sorry that I wanted to be sisters and wanted to be alike. How dare you react like this? And she storms off. And it was the music during the scene that I was like, it was playing it so serious. The music was like, oh, as if there was a big heavy moment. And I'm like,
I know.
No, it's not.
The line that cracked me up is, when Lana goes, I'll ask Nell. And she just goes, Nell loves me. Like, okay, all right, calm down.
And it's the way Lana looked after her, like really, like sort of serious, like, oh god, I've upset her. Like, I'm like, no, like, I feel like this is just making melodrama out of scenes that would never be this dramatic in real life. It's just like, move in, what? No, of course not. That's what a weird thing to ask someone.
Well, no, but even if you go, okay, sure, I'll ask the person who owns the house and whose permission it would be for you to live
the
there,
parent,
who would be responsible for looking after you,
the guardian, yes.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty. That's what I say. That's the most reasonable answer she could have given. Gone, all right, I'll ask Nell.
Yeah.
You can't just go, yeah, sure, move in. I'll see you tonight.
No, that's the thing. It feels like outside of Clark and his parents, no one ever seems to even talk about the fact that she was shape-shifting. Like, it never comes up to really anyone else.
Do many of them really know? Well, obviously Lana knows by the end.
Yeah, but no one ever really, like, when all the police are there at the end, like, I feel like just a moment of, like, a captain or something be like, oh, this is strange stuff, like, like, someone who could change their body. Or even...
to be fair, maybe they didn't tell him.
True, yeah, maybe they won't believe, but then, how did they ever explain the whole Lex Luthor thing? Which is, in the papers, it's, like, on record, like, Lex Luthor walked in and robbed stuff.
Someone had a fantastic mask.
But he's got an alibi, of course, which is why he's not locked up. He was at a thing, giving a speech.
At a shit meeting.
Yeah.
I say that literally.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Smallville.
We made it. Another week down.
Well, that will take us on to Young Justice. Doing episode 7 and 8 of season 1. Episode 7 is Denile, which is not just a river in Egypt. I'm so sorry.
You said the title. I went, don't you dare say the joke. Just don't do it. I will punch you in the face. And then you did it.
Come at me, bro.
Oh, it's coming.
So, yeah, we'll tackle them completely independently because they are very different episodes this week. This one has Dr. Fate in it. We have Abracadabra. It's kind of Wally focused in that he's the one who kind of has the most sort of character plot in the sense that...
And there is no Robin at all.
Yeah, that was interesting. He's just gone for the episode. He's away doing boy wonder things, as one of them puts it.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. And they set up the idea that as much as he's got a crush on Miss Martian, that ultimately him and Artemis, because they again, to bring up the hit television show, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they have the Xander Cordelia relationship where they're fighting all the time, and she's constantly challenging him, which is something that Dr. Fate by the end of the episode says to him, or Kent Nelson, I should be more specific.
It was Kent, yeah.
Yeah. Says. Yeah, find someone who challenges you and everything. Find a firecracker who he'll keep you on your toes. And of course, Wally doesn't get the message. He still tries to ask out Miss Marshall at the end, but it was a nice moment. It's like, okay, I can see that that's where this is ultimately going to go.
Yeah,
this is going to be a thing. Yeah. So that's it was nice to have a Dr. Fate plot.
Just and also acknowledgement that the JSA existed in this universe.
Yeah, they mentioned the JSA. They mentioned they predated the Justice League, so we're going post-crisis.
And also we have Jay.
We have Jay in this. That wasn't this episode though.
Is that not this episode?
No, I don't think so. No, because it was.
Maybe I'm mixing those two up. But just this week, it's like, okay, no, Jay is around. The JSA is the real thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't say I was super familiar with the evil kid, the witch boy.
Clarion the witch boy.
Yeah. Can't say I'm super familiar with him.
I've read I had a series a couple of years ago that I read, like maybe in the tail end of the DCU stuff.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. No, there was definitely at least a 6 or 12 issue series that I read.
Used to meet, but cool all the same. But yeah, so they basically he gets kidnapped. Kent Nelson, that is, he gets kidnapped by Abracadabra and this dude, and they get taken. He's taken there, and they want to get the Fate helmet, which is he's not used in years. It's been decades since he's worn it.
Yeah, I think it says like 65 years or something.
Yeah, he's like 106, but he's doing well for he's a good age.
Looks good, doesn't he?
Not a day over 90, as Wally puts it. This is a funny joke, but so it's a Tower of Fate, and they want to get in, and they kind of like they end up the Titans kind of get in, and that's how they end up sort of going after them, and that's the whole thing. So the core sort of conflict of this episode for the characters is that Wally does not believe in magic. He wants to explain everything with science, and he keeps doing it. He keeps saying, "No, this isn't a thing." He keeps pretending that he does for Miss Martian because Miss Martian seems interested in it, but he does not believe in it, and he keeps like explaining things away. Even when the floor like has a door, like before it was a fire pit, then they open a door in the bottom and it's like, you know, a snowy planet.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're in a pocket dimension. There, science.
Yeah, the one that really cracked me up was the one where it was invisible. And he explains it away, and you know, they're like, or it's just invisible. And then it cuts to Clarion and Abracadabra. And Clarion's like, hey, Abracadabra, isn't that stuff that he said what you use?
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Abracadabra. If you don't know that character, he's called Abracadabra. He appears to use magic, but he doesn't. He's actually from the future, and it's all just good tech that he uses to pretend that he's doing magic. So that's why it's actually why he fits so well in this episode, is because it kind of fits with what Wally thinks about magic.
It's justification for Wally, because Wally's already familiar with Abracadabra as well at this point.
Yeah, because he's a Flash villain, so yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's primarily a Wally villain as well.
That's true, yeah. Although, seemingly here it doesn't play that way.
Not in this version.
Yeah, it plays more like...
Wally's not old enough yet.
Because obviously in the comics he didn't show up until Wally was the Flash.
Yeah.
So, but no, so you got all that, you got some fun stuff. I particularly liked where they fall down the pit in the Tower of Fate, and like they have to kind of like Miss Martian grabs Wally because he can't fly, obviously, but like the heat's kind of making her weaker, so she's sort of gliding down the whole way. Superboy loses his shoes because his feet get in the lava.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, my favourite boots." He's all pissy about it.
He's such a moody teenager. I love it.
He really is. So you know, I like that stuff, and I like the ultimate fight. I liked Wally being in Dr. Fate's helmet. He puts it on, and we get the fight taking place, and he's just kind of in there debating with him about what's real and what's not. And
yeah, it's really good stuff for Wally though.
Oh, it is, yeah. But I think my favourite part of it though was when someone explains to Miss Martian why he's so like against believing it, and they explain, oh, he's someone who has to explain everything with science because that makes him feel like he has understanding and control over what goes on, and believing that magic's a thing takes that away. It's actually kind of why I don't like magic all that much in terms of storytelling, because it takes away rules and things can just happen because of it. So I'm on Wally's side for a lot. I mean, I know it's real magic because it's, you know, this DC universe.
It is, yeah. But I like it where it's part of that acceptance of no, we understand why you don't want this and why you want to believe what you believe, but tough shit. Essentially, it's kind of like no, it's broaden your horizons. Which
is funny because it's actually the inverse of real life. Because in real life, people who believe in magic are the ones who just want to believe in it, and the science is the fact that everyone can prove and say, no, this is a thing. Which, I mean, to be fair, the science is still true in this. It's just that
it's just saying there's more.
Yeah, there's extra stuff as well added on. So hey, that's just the whole thing. I don't know if it's this episode or the next one where someone else says hello, Megan. I think it's Wally at the end of this one. He says like, hello, Megan, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah. So you know what? I think again, I'm not sure which one it's in, but there's a hint about that stuff.
About Megan.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you'll have caught it because I know I didn't catch it on my first time viewing, but it's one that now I know where it's going. I'm like, ooh, that was cool.
Okay.
I'll refer back to it once we get to that stuff.
Okay. That's cool. So no. That was a solid little plot.
Yeah, and I like that, you know, Wally takes the helmet and, you know, they're like, oh, why'd you keep it? He's just like, oh, souvenir, but it's not. It's like, okay, no, that helmet's going somewhere to someone. I don't know when, but it's happening.
Oh, sure, yeah. Because, I mean, there's been more than one Dr. Fate in the...
Yeah, of course. I think we've had about 4 or 5.
Yeah. So, no, that makes sense. So I expect that to be brought up at some point. Which is funny, because in an animated show, I normally wouldn't expect anything like that to be brought back up. But this show, at least so far, has proven to me that it probably will bring it back up.
Yeah, it's establishing so many things that it feels natural that it will, especially the way it kind of does play it as a sincere moment.
Yeah, so no, there you go. That is Denile.
Don't you dare. Oh boy, I can see you thinking it. You were going, do I say it again?
Okay, so that takes us to episode 8 of Young Justice, which we also watched. It's called Downtime. This is actually an Aqualad / Atlantis focused episode. He goes home to Atlantis to see Aquaman, to see Tula.
Because Batman's like, all right, come on, let's sort this shit out.
Yeah, and see Garth as well, which at least in this show, they set up that him and Garth kind of came up at the same time in our...
Well, yeah, that's because obviously this version of Aqualad Calder didn't exist before Young Justice. This invented him, and obviously he's in the comics now. But it meant, okay, so what do we do about Garth? So they kind of just go the different route here.
Yeah, I can't say I think the weakest part of this episode is probably the love triangle bollocks.
Yeah.
Where he comes back because he's in love with Tula, but Tula's secretly dating Garth now. And of course, the second they're on the screen, I'm like, okay, they're dating.
To be fair, they don't hide it very long, because by the end of that first interaction, they're like, should we tell him?
Yeah, sure, yeah. But the first split second, I'm like, they're dating. Yeah, of course they are. Which I think is dull from a storytelling perspective, because for me, it would be much more interesting and much more entertaining as a story if Aqualad's decision to come to the surface and like set that up as his home base, and still visit Atlantis obviously, but make that his home, because that's the whole story here, is that he's conflicted and he still wants to be back in Atlantis, and he's going to make the choice by the end of the episode to he's going to be a surface person, he's going to be a hero of the land and be Aqualad with the Titans, or I mean, not calling themselves that, but same difference.
We're going with it, yeah.
Well, they don't have a team name, do they? They're just...
No, don't yet.
Yeah.
Hell, Superboy doesn't have a name yet.
Did they ever actually call themselves Young Justice? Did they call themselves the Young Justice League at some point?
I'm not sure.
I'm curious. But he's... So I think his choice to remain on land, I think it's much more interesting and much more fascinating from a character perspective if that choice is based on something to do with being on land and either liking being on land or realising that he can do good on land, whereas this is kind of the opposite, where the thing that he wants to be in Atlantis for is taken away from him, so it's not his choice anymore, essentially.
Yeah, it's more interesting if they were just all friends and it was like, no, that's enough draw for him to want to be there anyway. Yeah.
If he made if the choice was that he wants to be with his new family, which is the Titans, like if it's a positive choice because of something he wants on the surface, whereas instead it's taking away one of the things he likes about Atlantis, so it feels like more, oh well, now this place is shit, so I might as well go and do the other thing.
It does a little bit, yeah.
So that's why that part of it's a bit weak for me.
It is, but it's which is irritating because all the stuff in Atlantis itself I actually really like.
It's mostly good stuff. I like Black Manta being there. I'm not too fond of his design, I have to say.
Okay, it's not the best. I'll give you that.
I like the wider head. I like the chrome effect of a wider head as well.
No, that's true.
Here it's more of a sort of, I mean, it's still got the kind of shape, but it's
not as wide. It's not quite as narrow as usual.
It's not as shiny. It feels a bit more, I don't know,
more practical, maybe.
Yeah.
But in a negative, in the same way you can say that about some of the live action bat suits. They're done for practicality, but they don't necessarily look quite as good because of it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But it's a cartoon, so that shouldn't be an argument.
It shouldn't, but I feel like they've tried to ground it in that way, and it doesn't quite work in the same effect. This
other one isn't a complaint per se, but when all the action goes down and Mira's fighting, I thought it was odd that she's using like the aqua or the Atlantis magic.
Oh right? Yeah, the tattoos, yeah.
Instead of just using her water bending powers, which I'm so used to her having, like that's her thing.
Yeah. This version of her is just because she's a teacher at the school, and it seems to be that maybe she is still from Zebel. I don't know if they've addressed that yet, but regardless, she doesn't seem to have her own innate powers. She just has the same magic as the others.
Which is a shame, because I like her powers. I like it separates her from the other Atlanteans. I like that it makes her feel unique.
It does, but to be fair, it's still, they're doing the same things, at least. So it's changing the way she uses them, but ultimately the power set's the same.
Oh no, it's not the exact, like, normal Mira comics or actions, she cannot make a giant squid-looking thing with powers.
I bet she could.
Or at least if she did, it'd look cooler because it would be made out of water and not this big purple-looking
Okay, yeah,
thing.
I'll give you that one.
Whereas this is more like a Green Lantern kind of effect, where it's purple, like, shapes and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know. So, I'm lukewarm on some of that stuff, but I like the other stuff. Honestly, I think I prefer all the little one-off scenes with everyone else more.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You get a scene with Dick at the mansion, and he's being like hard on himself. He's pissed that Bruce wanted to talk to Aqualad on his own. Like, he's not the leader.
He didn't realize that Bruce was giving Aqualad shit, essentially.
Yeah. So Bruce sees that he's upset, and he's like, "Hey, let's play some basketball."
Yes, but it's training.
It's training, but it's clearly meant to be a nice thing. And Alfred's like smirking. He's like, "Good Bruce, good, be a father."
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So that's really nice.
I like it when Bruce is a good dad, because some versions he's not. Sometimes he is. I prefer the one where he is. I
like the idea that he ignores them a lot of the time, but every so often he remembers to do something nice. That's kind of what I like. Yeah.
It's the same thing we had, with Clark and Superboy, where he's kind of pushing Clark into it.
Yeah.
He's already gone through it. He is a good dad, even if he doesn't always show it.
Yeah, he understands it to a reasonable degree. So you got that. You got Artemis, who gets a surprise letter saying she's into like the Wayne Academy, even though she didn't apply. And I'm like, oh, that's right, she didn't know Bruce Wayne's Batman. This is kind of funny. But obviously he's just like, oh, I'll give her a better chance at life. Have a placement. And she actually doesn't want to. I thought it was interesting that her mother knows about her. Like, she's got her arrows out in the... Like, she's cleaning her arrows. She's like, oh...
Her mother's there in a wheelchair. It's like, look, you don't take this, you ain't doing this stuff.
Yeah. And ours is kind of a dick at first, because she's like, don't threaten things you can't enforce. I'm like, is someone who grew up in a house with a father in a wheelchair, right? I'm not saying I never said, haha, you can't stop me because you're in a wheelchair, because I did, but it's a shit move, alright?
No, as a kid you would say it. So it's I think that's why I like this, even though, it's a dick move and it makes me like you a little bit less in the moment. It's so believable. Yeah. And so genuine feeling.
She's older here than I was when I'd say stuff like that, though.
Sure, but she's angry.
She's angry. But no, so I like that. And then, of course, you mentioned Jay in the last episode. This is where we see him here. We see that Barry's there, Iris is there, Jay's there with his wife, the whole Flash family's here. Wally's eating ice cream. It's great to see. I'm all for more of this. Again, it comes back to this show not just being... I mean, it's obviously focused on the Titans, but it's a DC Universe show where all these other things exist.
You see everything through their lens, but everything still happens. Everything still happened. Yeah,
like this episode starts with a Clayface fight.
Yeah.
It's a fun little thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
And Batman has to come in and save the day because Aqualad's been a shit leader.
Pretty much.
That's the thing that happens. But it was nice and Clayface. Again, we had a subtitled section in this episode.
Yeah, they're speaking Atlantean.
Yeah, which is odd because I feel like the comics hardly do this anymore.
It's true, and then they refer to him as King Orin as well. I'm like, I can't remember the last time I saw it as that.
Yeah, odd. Correct me if I'm wrong. See, Ocean Master as a concept, is that a mantle that was passed on to Orm, or is it just in this? It's not Orm.
I'm not sure.
Because I think of Orm as Ocean Master, but
I do as well.
I could believe that someone else was Ocean Master first, and then he took the mantle. I could see that being a thing.
It's plausible, yeah.
Yeah. Not to spoil for anyone who doesn't know Aquaman lore that Orm ends up being a bad guy eventually, but
hey, you can, I think there's a reasonable expectation with most comic book shows that I feel like as soon as anyone's introduced in a show, there's articles on every entertainment website that covers them going, oh, they're this person. When are they going to become that?
Especially in this, where there's that moment where Mira's like, oh, we're pregnant, and someone's like, oh, we'll have an heir to the throne. Is like, oh, sorry, Prince Orm.
Sorry, Orm. Yeah, shit.
And he's like, oh, no one could be happier than I. Yeah, I bet the double cross is coming. And of course, the last little thing to mention, I think, would be that Black Manta was doing this job. Because what they were there to do, actually, we should have even mentioned that. There's a giant monster thing that they've got in ice in Atlantis. They don't know what it is.
Still alive.
It's still alive, it's in the ice, they're protecting it, and Black Manta wants it. But when he realises that he can't win the fight, he destroys it instead. He's like, if I can't have it, no one can have it. So he does plan B, which is destroy it. But he gets a little specimen, he's got a little part of it, and it's growing. Or is it Atlantis that has that? Someone has that. Someone had a little tentacle thing, and it was going to grow.
Yeah, I think it was Atlantis.
I think it was Atlantis, okay. But he's working for the light. This job was for the light again. So once again, we're back to the light. Which is cool. My only criticism of this now at this point is we've seen this 4 or 5 times now. I feel like next time we see the light, it has to be something other than just the villain at the end of the episode is talking to the light.
No, I get you. It's soon we need to learn who the light are a bit. We need to get something more from them.
Just something different. I feel like now we've had this multiple times where the villain at the end of the episode...
I'm trying to think. We're going to get one. I assume at least, one for each person on the team. So this was the Aqualad one that did it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I mean, I don't think we've had quite enough for that yet.
Well, every other time it's always been the whole team, I think, for the most part. Arguably the first one was a Superboy because he was kind of the focus, but...
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Whereas this, it was Aqualad on his own. Everyone else was off doing other things.
Yeah.
In fact, we didn't even mention Miss Martian and Superboy...
Cooking,
yes, and her...
Delightful.
Messing him up with eggs and stuff. And for some reason, he's watching their giant TV with nothing on it.
She's like, do you want me to turn that on? He's like, no.
I like the static. My favourite show.
Static. Maybe it's comforting to him because he was in the tank and it was just nothingness, and maybe there was static there.
Maybe.
Oh.
Bit of a stretch.
It is a bit of a stretch.
So they have a bit of a tender moment as well until she, eggs him all over the place. But she's all, hello Megan, again. We're getting a lot of hello Megans. Which I don't mind. I'm not against the hello Megan.
No, I'm not either. I think I was a bit irritated by it my first time around though. I think it does get quite a lot. It's getting to a point where it's quite a lot now. I mean, some people are fine with that because okay, it's just a catchphrase. But I'm okay with it now.
Do I incorporate Hello Peter into my repertoire of catchphrases?
Bloody don't.
Hello Peter.
I will genuinely come around.
Like, I'll be honest, it didn't feel right. I don't think I'm someone who can refer to themselves in the third person. It just doesn't feel right for me.
Good. Let's never do that again.
I will concede that point.
Never again.
Unless it's an introduction, like I could maybe say, Peter's here, calm down, everything will be fine. Like I could maybe see myself saying that, but not a hello Peter moment. No.
It's just wrong.
All right, well that's Young Justice 7 and 8.
I'm still enjoying it a lot.
As am I. I think because I was a bit more down on some of the Aqua stuff, Love Triangle, and bits and pieces that I mentioned. This is maybe a bit more lukewarm of an episode for me compared to the others.
Oh, that's fair.
But not by a huge
I really like the moment where Aqualad, he goes and he sees his friends for the first time, and the guy's doing the drawing almost, and it kind of goes through the this is what Aqualad's backstory is.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I like that, and I like the stylized animation of that sequence.
I like that little squid dude. He was nice.
It was cool. He's like, can I put myself into this story? I want to do something cool.
It does make you actually. Do you have any idea why they chose to make a new Aqualad and not use Garth? Which I liked the reference to the Tempest, because at one point he's like, the power of the Tempest, and he's like,
yeah. I don't know why actually. No, maybe they just felt like it.
Yeah, I actually wonder if it was just purely for diversity reasons. Because
it might well be.
Because they looked at the team and went, okay, sure, there's a green chick, but that's not a real thing. we need someone who's not white.
Yeah.
And went, okay, that's... they could have just made Garth black, I suppose, but I guess they said, no, we'll be more interested, we'll make a new character and we'll build them up.
I applaud that, because I think Calder is a solid character, and it's more interesting than just turning one black.
Oh yeah, I have no problem with changing the race of characters, but I think it's infinitely more interesting when you make a new character and build them up to their own thing. And I think the fact that he's in the comics now in Teen Titans, like, no, he's survived, he's become a thing, like he's got a legacy now. So that's actually really nice to see. I appreciate that. I Miles Morales as Spider-Man, I think is great, and that is infinitely more interesting than just making Peter black. Like it's
like, yeah, okay, you can do it if you want, but it's more interesting this way. It just is. If you do it,
I have no problem with them doing
it. If you do it so that they actually become a good character in their own right, and you make them good enough that they stand the test of the time and they have a place, you've succeeded more.
But that said, if you want to do a ballsy movie, if you want to make a Superman movie and cast a black guy, you know what, go for it. Like, I will happily shout at all the whiners who will complain and bitch about it.
I got no problem.
Because the hubbub that comes up when something like that happens, I mean, just think of Titans recently, with they cast a black actress to play Starfire, who's going to be painted orange anyway.
Almost certainly, yeah.
And there was actual outrage from certain people on the internet, and it's like, what?
She's a bloody alien. It doesn't matter.
This is the thing, though. Like, you know, changing the race would be fine anyway. Like, it doesn't matter. But on top of that, yes, she's an orange alien from another planet. Like, it literally does not matter.
I know.
There is literally no one on Earth that could actually be cast as what the race she's supposed to be. It's
exactly. Stop moaning.
That'd be like complaining that Beast Boy is not a green actor. Like, no.
I know. And I do remember people, you know, when the Flash started up and, you know, we got the West's cast. People were complaining.
And it's bullshit. It's like, why?
It is. Like, not gonna lie, part of me in my soul is still a little, well, what I have of a soul is, you know, is a little bit sad that I don't have a Ginger Wally in live action. That still isn't there. That hurts on some level.
But it's better this way. That is episode 14 of Television for the Multiverse.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay, good guess.
Positive. So let us know what you think of these episodes of these shows in the comments and stuff,
and all the random tangents we had,
and and keep it nice in the comments about changing the race of characters when they're being cast, please. You know, I don't want to have to start deleting things. You know, be nice.
And we will.
I'll take the hammer out. The hammer of justice will be swift.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, so like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz or at DC Comics Podcast if you want to get us specifically for DC Comic stuff. You can also support the show and the channel and everything we do here over at patreon.com/mailfuzztv. Of course, there'll be a link to that in the description, as well as some other useful links. But otherwise, that's us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching dumb superhero TV shows, because they're often dumb. That's not.
Young Justice is the exception at the moment.
We like goofy stuff, but that's okay. But yeah, that's us. So thank you once again, and always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.